All right. Good morning, everyone. Youngstown's Talk Channel. Joe and Kelin here. I already got a death stare from Kelin right off the get-go. I got a bingo card that says if I can't get 3 death stares from you in one show, that it will be a complete failure. So,
in one show?
One show.
God, I thought you were going to say in 1 week. I was
no,
like,
one
oh,
show.
easy.
I'm going to try to say something provocative enough to get 3 death stares in one show.
I believe you can do it.
I absolutely can.
I don't think it'd be that hard.
So what do you got right off the get-go? And thanks everybody for joining us. Sean's already in first in the house.
Woo! You win.
Go Sean.
Yeah.
Major award.
That's a major award.
All right, what do you got?
I'm just going to get on one quick soapbox and rant for a second. And I've ranted about this before, but it happens so often, I need to rant about it again.
Okay.
If people don't get off the ever-loving cell phones while driving, I'm absolutely going to lose my mind.
Okay.
I am like this close to just finding a remote work from home job and growing a garden so I never have to go to the grocery store and homeschooling my kids so I don't ever have to pick them up because I am about done being on the roads. The drivers are that bad. And once again, I was almost hit head on yesterday by a woman looking down at her phone that came right into my lane. And as she passed me, as she went, oh crap, jerked back into her lane and passed me by, soon as she got back in her lane, looked right down at her phone again.
Right.
And I wanted to follow her and politely tell her not to do that in so many ways.
Okay.
Yeah. And then
so what kind of epiphany are we courting here? Are we courting the when what you've got going on is more important than the safety of others epiphany?
Yeah, apparently.
What bigger principle are we
let's
entertaining?
A couple of things. One is, yes, if you are waiting for an important message and you think you just got it, pull over and check your messages. If you're lost and you have to type something into a GPS because you don't know really where you're going and you got to look down, pull over and do that. And my most favorite, so help me God, if you feel the need to document your every thought on social media via video while driving, pull the hell over and document your dumb little thought on the side of the road or in a parking lot or before you leave. Because that's my favorite. Best case scenario, you're being annoying. Worst case scenario, you kill somebody or yourself because heaven forbid you don't go Facebook Live while driving or record a video that you're then going to post while driving. Especially when I hear people's kids in the back of the car. Yeah, this was so important that your kids' lives are now in danger because I got to play around on the cell phone. I once had somebody, when you're just doom scrolling Instagram or something and people just send reels, funny little reels. I once got a couple of reels from someone back to back and I immediately called them. Are you driving right now? Yeah. You just sent me these reels. Yeah. I'm like, are you actually doom scrolling Instagram while driving? And they said, yeah, it's kind of a long drive and my phone's propped up. It's not like I'm looking down. And I said, you're watching Instagram reels because you've got a long drive and you need something to watch. I almost blew a gasket. That's where we are. It wasn't even, I had to mess with my GPS and I know I shouldn't while driving, or I was really waiting for this important message to tell me something because I'm on my way somewhere. No. It was, I had about a 15 to 20 minute drive and my brain is so chaotic that I can't just look at the road and drive. I scrolled social media, Instagram reels, and sent them to people while driving. Tell me that's not the most ridiculous thing you've ever heard.
I got nothing for you because, again, Joe writes in an envelope. What's going to happen? All right. So here's the deal. In society, we have a bunch of smart people and we have a bunch of dumb people, right? We are delivering heroin to everybody all across the board. Some people can handle heroin. They can do it in a recreational phase.
I can stop
Some
anytime I
people
want.
are going to not understand the responsibility that comes with heroin use, and they're going to misapply it and misuse it and put you in danger because of it. So all you can do is say, hey, look, either we're going to have a virtuous life where we know what causes dopamine responses and curtail those and make sure that they're held responsible, or we're just going to flood it on everyone, and the people that abuse it are going to abuse it and put me in danger. That's the epiphany here, right? So are you a responsible user of dopamine-inducing addictions?
Am I?
Yeah.
I'm responsible enough to not do it while driving.
Okay. So, but if we allow all of that stuff to happen, what is your messaging for people who can't handle dopamine addictions?
Seek help. Seek
Like
help
what kind?
before you kill somebody.
But here's the cool thing. Here's awesome. Like, I hate stupid people and I hate insane people. I hate both of those. I would put them all on an island and send them off. The minute that you say that you're stupid, the minute you say that you're insane, you need to be as far away from me as possible. The insane asylum is making an effing comeback, and I could not be happier for this. So Kelin says, goes into the courtroom, right?
Yeah.
She did a bad thing. And she says, listen, I had a moment of insanity. And the judge is like, okay, well, rational Kelin wasn't there that day. Insane Kelin was there that day. So I'm going to permit you to have broken a law or caused some damage to another person because you were insane in the moment. What do you think happens beyond that moment? You're released and you're put back into effing public, right?
Sometimes.
Because there are no nut houses to be able to corral the people that are insane. So if you take a I was insane plate, you go right to the nut house, and then doctors who deal with insane people try to rehab you or at least incarcerate you to the point where you don't ill affect the rest of us. So the strategy from keeping dumb people away from smart people is you got to put them effing somewhere. And again, the insane asylums went away because they were very unpopular in the late 80s and early 90s. And now we don't have any place to put people who are ridiculously stupid or insane.
So when you hear people say, like, you know, like you said, they were insane, whether it was temporary insanity or just a severe mental health issue that they have always had and always will have, maybe if prison isn't the right place, put them in a hospital somewhere. You're saying we don't have that.
We don't have insane asylums, so you can claim insanity, and then the courts are just like, oh, okay, you were just insane? That's cool. Put you back on the streets with the rest of us. And then I got to be like, oh, yeah, the court felt like an insane person should be walking around doing all the same things that a non-insane person is doing. Crazy.
I knew someone this was down south in Georgia, that worked in a mental health hospital in a wing of people that were criminally insane.
Yeah.
They've killed somebody, hurt somebody, whatever. And she would tell me all these horror stories, like, you have to be very, very careful. They can attack you. They can do this. They can do that. And part of me is like, well, one, I'm glad they're somewhere, not on the street. But two, like, they can't even staff the place because they're still doing what they do just in there. Like, where is any sort of rehabilitation? And maybe there is. I don't know. I didn't deep dive into this location, but it sounded pretty scary. Like, it was almost a place like, just go be your crazy self in this room over here.
I don't want him anywhere near me. And my kid and I had a conversation about this, and we were talking about homelessness. And let's just say some philanthropist said, I'm going to dedicate, $1 trillion to ending homelessness, right? Mm-hmm. And sort of like, if you were to take that scientific method, dude, what causes homelessness? Is it a lack of affordable housing or stupid, crazy people that are allowed to make decisions out in regular society? I'm going to say 90% are bad decision makers. So we were having a conversation. My kid and I, 15-year-old kid, we have the best political discussions. And I wish like there were, we were being live streamed to Congress to hear these discussions because they are that profound. Okay.
Would you ever have him on the show?
100%. My kid would be amazing. He wouldn't do it, but still, it would be amazing to have these.
He'd be like, I'm not going in front of the crazies.
And I said, okay, let's just say the United States government took federal land and they said, hey guys, everybody who hates homelessness, Everybody, we're gonna dedicate, 1 million acres of federal land. You can claim your plot of land. You can, Ryan, since he was young, thought about building these tiny homes and figuring out how to give all the necessities of someone being able to have shelter, a place to cook food, a place to lay down and sleep, the bare necessities. Nothing above surviving. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you can put $1,000 up, build one of these tiny homes, and we build 1 million of these tiny home shelters on federal land. Okay. Now that would be with the presumption that everyone who is homeless only because there wasn't an affordable or available, dwelling
house. Yeah.
Right? But that's completely ignoring the fact that the reason people are homeless is not because there aren't suitable places that they can get into.
Yeah.
So here's what I think. So let's take the IRS. IRS is just an accessory to theft, right? Go around and they inconvenience taxpayers by, going through what they've done and make their lives miserable and find them. And they're just an unreasonable, federal agency. Let's do this. Let's take IRS agents and make them coaches, right? If anybody has a downside, like they're experiencing financial hardships or social hardships or professional hardship, you get an IRS agent that lives with you for 1 month. And you know what they do the whole time? They shame and judge you every single time, right? So you basically bring the first question for this IRS agent is, what are your goals? I want to have a house. I want to have a career. I want to have a relationship, right? And then they live with you and they judge your actions and see if all of your decisions are congruent with the things that you say that you want. And basically they tell you why you don't have those things and make you feel really bad about the decisions you make, because the rest of society proper will tell you your decisions have no, $1,000 iPhone when you can't pay your electric, right?
Yeah,
there's a problem there.
Or get your nails done when you can't buy groceries.
1 month of service, an IRS agent follows you around and basically judges all your decisions. And maybe 50% of the people that get judged by the IRS agent actually then start accomplishing their deals because they've been told all their decisions are absolutely terrible. And maybe they're dumb. Maybe they get sent them off to people school where what they didn't learn in the regular education system, they get a real education with how to accomplish things in the real world. We are not survivalists, right? We have no skills that would allow any kind of hardship us besides like doing a GoFundMe, like, oh, I courted the wrong person and I decided to show up late for work and I bought something I didn't need, and nobody around them will tell them that they're just a bad decider and they need to outsource the decision making to someone who has an effing brain who is sane.
And a lot of it too is like what you said, sort of either that dopamine hit, that instant gratification, because anybody that's in that predicament, I bet you would immediately push back with, but what about quality of life?
Yeah, F that.
Oh, like I can't just go have fun
one
day, or I can't have this.
We're not ready for quality of life. We have 50% of the population who need involuntary servitude, where someone takes control of their decision making so they can actually put points up on the board without always being a victim. And we need the Democrat Party to stop wrapping their hands around these people as victims, when if you looked at their lives singularly and individually, they are causing all of their problems by being terrible thinkers. Education system, like the Department of Education, needs to be disbanded, because all we do is create more vulnerable people to add into the victim class to get Democrats elected. And I think that is the biggest disservice when we get to AI and we get to technological advances and we have a sophisticated society. You can't have people that are just brain dead being able to operate, because they're going to be nothing but problems for everybody else.
Yeah, you know that old saying, like, give a man a fish, feed him for a day, teach a man to fish and feed him forever. We are currently in a culture that saying, I'm not going to give it to you, I'm going to teach you how, makes you the bad guy. You're the cruel, heartless person that, oh, you must want it all for yourself. You won't give him any? No. I'm done giving it to him because it's enabling him. Let me show him how to give it his own and prosper for the rest of his life.
That's why, but
you're the cruel one.
But you got to think, like, the brand of Democrat is evil in nature, unvirtuous in nature, because they thrive on people in desperate situations. So if you don't think the Democrats want more desperate situations so that they get more political power, they're using the crippled. See, I'm on the other side where I want people to be at their best, and I don't want to make any excuses for people who want to justify their existence. You got 80 years on this life, make the best of it. And the first person that comes along and tells you that you can't do it because of some kind of injustice, you're a freaking devil evil person.
Yeah, especially when they're telling you that just to advance themselves.
100%.
I know that I
they
need
evil.
To be
they
advanced.
The Democrats are Satan, as far as I'm concerned.
Clip that.
Let's see. Trump is speaking at Davos, but Joe and Kelin are a priority. Take that, Julie. Thank you, Carter.
Thanks, Carter.
And what do you think of the World Economic Forum? And in its entirety, do you think there's a inherent evilness about countries conspiring to grow the global economy and grow the global prosperity?
You're asking me, do I think there are countries conspiring to do
they
this?
are. That's what the World Economic Forum is.
I feel like ultimately it will come down to everyone for themselves. Everyone wants to be more powerful and have more money and be the most respected. I don't know. I don't know a whole lot about what other countries are doing and on what stage they're doing it.
It's a laboratory. So every country has the ability to run their economies and run their society the way that they see fit. And the World Economic Forum in sort of like theory, that the ones that are doing well can share information with the people who are not doing well, and then they can emulate the ones that are doing well. So United States should be the boss, right? We go in there and we're like, hey, this is how it works. Free market capitalism, right? A little bit of social engineering. And this is the stuff that works for us. And the other countries, they play like the sugar baby, right? And they're on the tit of the United States, but they're almost shielded from being our sugar babies, and they think they've got it, right? And the United States' job is to put those countries in check and say, listen, we've got military power, we've got economic power, we have ingenuity, we have innovation in our country. You guys are all just parasites on the United States. Deal with us, but deal with it in a way that we can be sort of charitable toward you, and I will teach you. But we have these countries that would not exist without us. They don't have the military to defend themselves. They don't have the economies to support themselves. They are parasites on our innovations, right? And they big talk at us like they're going to teach us something rather than us bring our muscles out. We cut off our shirts. We flex a little bit in front of them and say, listen, we're willing to teach as long as you are willing to listen instead of preach. And that's what the WEF is. Like they bring these social arguments and it becomes sort of the priority, right? And Trump kind of like really disrupted that. What do you think the World Economic Forum would be about if it weren't for Trump and if it were not for the United States coming in there with a little bit of sass?
What would they be about?
What do you think the big headlines would be at a WEF?
Probably not much.
It would be about environmentalism because that's what's dominated, like the innovations in environmentalism. And let's all like kick out and, disable our economies for the sake of the planet. Right.
Yeah.
And now it's a different deal. Right. The economy is different. The landscape of the WF is different. We've got people from the United States who will say unpopular things and make the entire world crazy. You have a lot of liberals that'll be like, why won't you be nice to our friends? Right. And why won't you play nice? Because when you do that as the United States, that you get gang tackled by a bunch of subpar countries who want to preach at you what your priorities should be, right? Energy production. The international trade should be a thing. We're not ready for international trade again because we've had the United States who basically are the sugar daddies that help every other country. It's like, oh, we're going to deal, right? Mm-hmm. And we're going to sell our stuff to you and we're going to do it tariff free. Right. And then you're going to sell your stuff to me and we're going to charge 50% tariffs. And we're going to sell this to you as the people in the United States will love the fact that you get cheap goods. And then somebody that knows economics is going to say, yeah, but we are producing stuff too. If you're doing that, there's going to be a point where you have us over a barrel because our people will stop producing the thing they can't make money at. We're going to be beholden to you. And are you going to be nice to us when the fact that like we're not doing any lumber because we can produce it for $2 a square foot? You can do it for $1. So we buy from you and there's no lumber mills anywhere. And we're going to keep buying it from you. But there's one day you're like, oh, they rigging need us. And the friends are coming in there like, now it's $4, right?
Yeah.
And we're going to have forgotten that we had the capability of producing our stuff ourselves. And we're going to be like, oh, be nice to us, right? It's never reciprocal on the world stage. And the United States needs to use all of our advantages to sort of like colonialize and wield our power so that we are getting all the advantage of being a superpower, but also being charitable enough to teach other countries how they're going down the wrong road.
So basically you're saying become more self-sufficient, self-reliant, do our own thing well. And when someone else is like, hey, I want some of that. Listen, if you're willing to learn from us, we'll teach you, 100%. But we're not handing out.
Instead of it being a dependency, then you have two people who have equal interests in making an equitable trade on something. And we don't have that. It's all been lopsided. And we started off with our fight with Canada because Canada was taking advantage of us. UK was taking advantage of us. Pretty much every country that we dealt with knew that we were a pushover and we we're just going to give in and we were going to take it on the chin. So it eroded all of our economic clout because we were basically giving it all away for free.
And why did we do that? Was it to make us look good to certain
it's lazy.
demographics?
It's lazy. If I was negotiating with another company, right? And I had like one weapon in my tool belt, and that was bribery, right? I'm going to give you money so you do what I want. Then I control you in one way, and I'm going to give something up economically to you, right? And that went on for years where we just kept giving up economically to get something that we wanted. But the problem was the economic give was not equal to the take.
It was a bad deal.
It was a bad freaking deal. So that's why the NATO thing and how we do international relations and diplomacy, we were always the one that got worked over because we had very bad negotiators working on behalf of the American people. We were always the giver. And it always had that outcome where once you got to a certain point where you couldn't give anymore, then you start questioning whether or not you could. So when we were prosperous, nobody cared because there was free-flowing money. It's only when we get to $38 trillion in national debt, we're paying more in interest on our debt than we are anything else, that people are like, hold up, it's not time to be charitable. It's not time to be the philanthropist of the world. We got to look out for ourselves because all these people are eroding our economic value by our giveaways that we're doing. And, if you did something nice for your neighbor and you did it with the best of intentions, noble intentions, but they were a complete supreme dick to you, how long would you keep doing the charitable
Probably
giving?
not long.
Okay, so if you were like, hey, I want to give you $100 to help you with your electric bill, and then they tell all your neighbors that you're a total dick and you're just greedy, right?
Yeah.
Then the next time you go to issue that $100 to help with their electric bill, you're like, F you. You're not good enough to receive this charity.
Or you try to help them out because you think they're in a bind and now they just rely on you to keep doing it.
Right. And so then
when are you going to take this over?
So the next step is like, oh, you're only giving us $100. How about $200 because you can afford it, right? And that has been the mentality where the United States, because of our terrible leaders, right? We'll talk about skin in the game in a minute, but we got some comments because I pissed a lot of people off in that little thing. Let's see. Joe, I want you to know that I love this take, but who pays for these asylums?
Who pays for the mental health asylums?
Well, and I'm not an expert at asylums or nut houses, but if they were
mental health facilities,
if they were state run, how many people are in prison right now that should be in a mental institution rather than a prison? Right? If you take what we're already spending and get the people that are so far gone that they would never be integrated into society, they are insane as far as I'm concerned, and put them in a place where real rehab can actually happen. Yeah. And so maybe taking state and federal budgets that go to prison systems and just set up institutions that segregate those two types.
Yeah, maybe actually look look into like any sort of, I don't know, waste or fraud or leaking holes that have our money spewing from them on a regular basis and stop that and put that money into something we actually could benefit from.
Cut waste and fraud, and open mental institutions.
Which again is another reason I get so like crazed when you hear these people like, well, we need to be helping this country. We need to be giving this country money. We need to be blah, blah. It's like, okay, so then what do we do to protect our own citizens? Where is the money for a mental health facility coming from? We don't have it, but you thought it was a better idea to give it to this country. Is it? If you can live with that, if you're like, hey, I'm really glad that one charity in that small country over there got some money for this temporary thing, I'll take my chances with the crazies on the road and the murders running around in my own house.
Yeah, think about how less you'd have to pay law enforcement if you had less crazy and dumb people on your streets. So it might be a wash. I don't know. You'd have to do the studies on it, but this way is not working. It's too taxing. It's not fair to citizens who follow the rules when you have so much lawlessness that's everywhere, especially systemic lawlessness. You have sanctuary cities that basically give in to people that say, yeah, you have a rule and I don't effing care. And the city's like, oh yeah, we don't like that rule either. Let's just not follow it. And that is not good for society at large when you have and fine, change the laws. If you like the way immigration is going and you like insane people running around in the streets and you like people, pedophilia is everywhere and, politicians are making millions of dollars, change the effing laws.
Maybe, do you think at all the guy who stabbed that girl on the train who was released 14 times, did that have anything to do with like, we had nowhere to put him?
Yeah, put him in an institution. That is probably one of our bigger mistakes, is that we closed down mental health institutions because we felt like we were imprisoning people who were just suffering from some kind of mental illness. I feel like you should have prisons that are meant to keep you away from the public, and there's like 5% rehab that goes into that. The only rehab is the fact that you had to sacrifice some of your time on this planet to be in a prison, and you might not want to do that again, versus someone who can't participate in real life. And if you can't participate in real life, me as your neighbor, if I had a crazy person living next to me, I would vote to have them put in a place, an apartment that was away from me, where they could not fall victim to their decisions and they couldn't affect me by their decisions. And there would be a lot of people. If you take 150 million people out of this country and said we committed it all to mental institutions, that would be a beginning. That's not even the end. That would be the beginning.
You think that number would just increase over time?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Due to whatever factors, we're all going crazy now?
100%.
Oh, boy.
That's a lot of people that would not be above board on being able to provide and survive on their own without a dependency on someone else taking care of them. And if you're a warden of the state, might as well just make it official and put you in your nut house apartment.
Carter says Woodside needs to be reopened. They might help people with TDS. What's Woodside? Was that a facility?
Woodside was a very famous nut house in Youngstown. I had a neighbor who was crazy, right?
Yeah.
And he needed to be committed, and he had a couple of stints where he'd get in trouble, do something wrong, and they'd send him there for 6 months, and then he'd come back out and do more crazy stuff and then go back and whatever. So, but these institutions should be segregating units, not just places where you go, get fixed in the short term, because the rest of us don't want somebody who's recovering from a mental illness, especially if every day you're creating more mental illnesses.
What about like Belmont Pines? Isn't that a hospital?
But that's more chemical dependency. Those are people who have, chemical, like they're on heroin, they're on bad drugs, and they take them and rehab them on the chemical side. It's behavioral too, but those two things are I know someone whose son has severe behavioral issues, and he's spent some time there, but then is sort of released after a while. Outside are for participants, inside is for dependents, completely.
Jerry, good morning to both of you. Good morning, Jerry. I love the fact that you both run your podcast where you can agree to disagree and can also take sarcasm. That's called professionalism. It is so unprofessional to have a podcast where you feel your opinion is the only opinion and tell your longtime followers to not listen if you don't like it. Narcissism is when what you say you believe is always true only if it's your non-factual opinion and no one else can challenge you or you disconnect them. Love the Joe and we ran out of room.
in Kelin.
Thanks, Jerry.
Joe and Kelin. I'll fill that last part in.
Yeah, I think sidebar. I think that the reason that our podcast and this show is so great is we don't block anyone that disagrees with us. We don't even block you if you're outwardly rude and unruly and being ridiculous to us. We let everybody participate because I think that's important, because you can't just have a sounding board of all like-minded people at the same time with no other insight introduced to it.
So, but Jerry yesterday, there was an instance where he made a joke in front of Isaac. Now, for those who don't listen, Isaac has the hormone levels of a teenage girl. Okay. So
a teenage girl.
And so he is very quick to emotionalize every comment. He takes it a little bit personal. And so I'm going to take Isaac under my wing and allow him to hear things that are hard to hear, even if they're in a joking level, and be able to stay rational and on point without lashing out and hurting somebody. Jerry's a longtime listener, right?
Did he know it was a joke? Sometimes, especially when someone's typing or it's written, did he read it the wrong way?
Listen, Isaac was in a moment, right? He was pissed off. I was pushing up against him. He was in a vulnerable state. And so Jerry's joke, I'm going to blame Jerry a little bit by saying it was ill-timed. We know that Isaac was in that vulnerable state. You hit him with a joke, and then that's just not funny when somebody's in an irritated state. But
Isaac knew it was a joke?
No. Isaac was looking through, like the bull when you put out the red, and that's all they see is the red.
Looking for a fight.
Isaac was in that mode. So Jerry did not acknowledge that this was not a time for joking. And I'm joking as well. So Jerry, don't take that personal. Everybody's so sensitive. I don't know who I'm going to piss off.
The other day when Jerry said, "Hey, it's Youngstown's talk. Can we talk Youngstown?" I was like, "Hey, we'll talk about whatever we want."
Yeah.
And then Jerry was like, "Ouch." And I was like, I thought we were both sort of bantering there.
So Jerry, here's my recommendation. I think Isaac needs to, man up, grow up a little bit, and be able to hear things that he doesn't want to hear.
I wonder if Isaac's
and Jerry, I'm just going to say, try to time your jokes a little bit better. I mean, when it comes to humor, the timing is almost everything, right? You throw down a good one-liner, but you do it in an unopportune time, you're done.
Yeah.
You're going to get booed off stage. So both of you, I'm going to make recommendations to change your ways just a little bit to be more congruent with each other's personality.
I have a fear of that. I second guess and I question things, like conversations I have with people on a regular basis. And it could just be the simplest, quickest, short interaction in time that I'll obsess over later. Cause I'll be like, I don't know if they got what I meant by that. Do you think they realized that that's just my humor, that I wasn't being serious? Or do they think I was serious? Oh yeah, I'm one of those people that'll be like, I don't think they took that the way I meant it. And they might now think some way about me that I was actually just being ridiculous, or, you know what I mean? I have that insecurity a lot.
You fuss over that. I do not.
I know.
Okay. So here's the deal. You and I are going to big places, right?
We are?
We are. And so I talk to people who have a following and a listenership that is a lot bigger than ours, right? And so I coach them on when they get pushback, when they get critics, when they get mean statements, when people start coming after them, how do they handle it, right? Mm-hmm. And I think of you every single time when I have those conversations. Because I know what I would do, right?
Yeah.
I would read less. I would engage less. I would take it personal less. And I already do that, where if I throw out something that is misinterpreted as something joke, I don't feel obligated to tell a person it was a joke, because I know there are 350 million people in this country, right? And I know that there are 8 billion people in the entire globe. That one individual that I coax out of their unreasonable accusation is going to do absolutely nothing. I have to worry about the flock, right?
Yeah.
Not the individual. Somebody else has to deal with the individual.
Yeah, and it does actually, as odd as this sounds, it actually gets easier to handle the more it happens, or the more you see it elsewhere. Like, there's a handful of influencers I follow on YouTube. Typically, it's like makeup and clothes and girly stuff that I just watch for entertainment. And all of them I have seen put out a video talking about the hate and the mean comments they receive and the backlash over the dumbest thing. And I learned real quick, you can't say anything. If you are in any way, shape, or form on the internet, you will get negative comments and you will get hate and you will get flack. And some of it's not even legit. Some of it's bots looking for attention and engagement. Some of it is just keyboard warrior idiots that took what you said completely out of context, or they're not even thinking about what they're writing. And so when you realize and you see it's everybody about everything and every subject matter, and you go into it just knowing this is what it is, so ignore that and just do what you want to do, it does get a little easier. You kind of care less when someone's like, oh, you're an idiot. I'll be like, oh, sweet burn. And then you go on with your day.
Well, and that's the thing. Like, there's so much estrogen that is sort of impacting the rest of society because women decided to participate in areas, and they're used biologically to having less fighting and more nurturing, right? So when someone's mean to you, like if you said that I want to run for Congress, and I'm gonna tell you, Kelin, you would not be able to handle running for Congress. And it's not because you don't have the mental capacity for it. You don't have the ability to people mindlessly being mean to you for no other reason than that you disagree with what you say.
Yeah.
You would get so fixated on people being mean to you that you would you would bail out. There's no way that you'd be able to deal with it. So much estrogen, like women really, the impact that they've made on culture has been great advancement in certain areas, but really devastating in other advancements.
You don't think men, though, get involved in that too? Like, I know you've had instances where you got so much flack about something that you were like, all right, I'm fighting back. I'm addressing this. I'm going to address this idiot comment. I think men do it too sometimes.
No, men are better able to handle. Like, you get a group of men around, they make comments to one another, right? That really doesn't do anything. I would walk into some place and they would comment physically on something and I'll give two shits about it and I move on. A woman walks into that same group and they say the exact same thing, right? And they are devastated by it because women are just more vulnerable and they're able to be hurt by words more than men. Don't care. We really don't.
I think sometimes they care.
I know if you give them enough chickpeas or enough kale, they will start caring. But they also will start coloring their hair different and wearing designer fashion and all that kind of stuff. So if that's the effect that you want to feminize men, right, then you can make them vulnerable too. But I think if you take the laboratory, would you want people to be more impervious to criticism, or do you want them to take criticism, more personal? That I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't want to feminize men.
You know what I think is actually harder for me and maybe a lot of people? It's not when they do an incredibly mean comment, like it could be something about the way you look or calling you stupid or whatever. That is so just below the belt and off topic that it almost does roll off because it was so ridiculously dumb. It's when they say something on topic that is ridiculously dumb, I think makes it harder for me. Like, for example, I just saw yesterday, you may have seen JD Vance announced Usha is pregnant with their fourth child. They're having a boy. And obviously mixed reviews online. Some people congratulating them. Some people are just haters. Somebody's like, must be nice to have free healthcare. And somebody commented, yeah, it is nice. You serve your country, you fight in the military, you put your life on your line, and then you get good health care. Like something like that, where I could be like, you have no idea what you're even talking about and what somebody went through to get that, and you can too. Like those things I think would eat at me more than like a childish, dumb, immature comment of just, oh, that's so dumb. You know what I mean?
But those topics have been
hypocrisy, I think.
But they've been endlessly talked about. There isn't something new that you can add to the discussion.
I know.
It's automatic that they're going to say the thing, and then you arguing isn't like, oh, I found an enlightenment moment.
And it's futile. Like they'll say something that is just so hypocritical. And when you point it out, they're not going to be able to fathom that. They don't hear it. They're not going to hear it.
And when you make that realization, right, that engagement is not going to be, it's not going to be prosperous. Like you're not going to make any way with it. They're not going to change their mind, and you're going to expense a bunch of negative. So when I do a lot of like pushback engagements, I'm really not emotionally invested in what I'm saying. I know what I'm going to get. And I don't care one way or the other. I'm like throwing a grenade in and I'm leaving. Like, that's it. I'm gone. I'm not coming back to argue deeper because I don't have to care. I only did it because it gets your blood pressure up. It gets you motivated to say more. And I'm putting you at a disadvantage because it's a distraction that we freaking needed.
Tracy says, thank you, Kelin. Been saying that about the nonprofits and poverty in Youngstown. Teach them to fish. Yes. Thanks, Tracy.
All these countries, Julie says, all these countries have contributions to the U.S. We don't have the right to push them around because we have military might. Yeah, and I don't honestly think that we have any need to push anybody around. But I do think we have the need to not mess with their affairs and pull it back internally. And it's like, oh, like we're in Norway, right? And we've taken all of our prosperity and all of our riches with energy, and we only like have 3 military and maybe 1 airplane, and it's a Cessna that maybe has an RPG or something like that. And we know that if we get in trouble, the United States is going to protect us. And then we're looking at you like you have a lot of wealth, and you're drilling it into your healthcare. And you're using us because you know I'll defend you. What Isaac said yesterday was like, anytime someone needs our help, it's not like we'll help you, right? It's we'll help you, but there's an invoice at the end of the day. You need to take some of that money that you felt you were, flush with so that you can do free healthcare and maybe put it into some national defense so we don't have to be your protector, or maybe put it in to pharmaceutical advancements so we don't have to do all of your research and laboratory work, right? You've been using us, and now it's just time to let's call a spade here.
Like, if you want my money, then I can say what I think it should go to.
That's right. You're making money off us in one direction, and we're making money off you in another direction. Now it's just a fair. I'm not going to push. Norway can go be itself so long that I don't have to pay for anything in Norway. Make it so that if Norway wants something from us, they're dealing with something that benefits us something equally. That's where negotiations come down. Now, if you're a threat to us, that's a different story. If you are, China, and you're actively working against you, then I'm absolutely going to use all of my powers to be able to right that, or at least combat against that. And there's a lot of countries that have been sort of like oppression through passive means, right? And they've pulled it off because it's not direct war. It's not cannons and guns, but it is definitely an act of aggression towards us. And we just get rid of that. Just absolutely get rid of it. So if you had a country that said USA is terrible and we hate the USA, how many dollars should be going to that country? 0. Until you can figure out whether or not USA dollars is worthy of thinking highly of the USA.
Yeah.
If you're taking our money, right, be appreciative.
We hate you guys. Now pay us.
Exactly.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't agree that we should push any country around, but we are the best. We are exceptional. Every country wants us and wants our we are the hot blonde that comes into the dance, right? We are dressed to the tens. We took the gaze of every single person on that dance floor. And somebody walks up to us and shows us interest, it's not going to be free, bitches, right? I can have anyone I want.
I don't owe you a dance.
No dance for you.
You better woo me.
You bring something to the table that is equal to my hotness. That's what it comes down to.
Yep. Trump at Davos. Give me what I want or I'll take it. Okay, dumb question. I'm not up on this, I guess. What's Davos?
Davos.
What's Davos?
Germany?
I don't know.
I think it's Davos is in Germany, I believe.
Something I've not been seeing much of lately. Oh, this is where they brought all the leaders.
Yes.
For this
It's a
discussion.
single place. It's an
Oh.
annual meeting. It's the World Economic Forum.
Heads of states were gathering there. I see.
I don't know. Where's freaking
Hosting
Davos?
the World Economic Forum.
Why don't I know this?
Davos.
Is it a country? Switzerland. Davos, Switzerland. Okay. All right.
Switzerland. Oh, because it's neutral?
Yes.
Switzerland?
Neutral, aka white flag.
That's where we all meet there. Let's all go to this neutral spot and hash it out.
It's cool that we're talking about Nordic countries at the same time where Davos, Switzerland now is in the headlines. Gary says, I'm too worried about
I'm not too worried.
Oh, I'm not too worried about the crazies out in public and all of that. I always stay vigilant at all times. The real worry I have is that shady politicians we have are wasting taxpayer money and get away with it. Maybe off topic, but just look how much everyday life is increased in every way possible. But if, politics is made up of people, and if you flood society with crazies, you don't think some crazies ended up in ruling you and having the powers to manage you? Like, I'm a meritocratist.
Well,
right?
and, I mean, don't you think too there's corrupt politicians that are like, I can use these crazies?
Absolutely. That is the Democrat Party in a freaking nutshell. Let's take every insane, stupid person and make them vote and give me everything that I want, because reasonable, normal people would make the Democrats not even be a party anymore. They would lose every election.
I'm going to tell them, this is not your fault. There's nothing you can do about
The
it.
system is oppressing you.
Yeah. So let me go ahead and take care of you.
I'm going to give you
and
free
in
stuff.
return,
Free stuff.
you keep me in power.
Yeah, just keep voting for me.
Yeah. I'll just dish it out and you won't have to do anything about it. You won't have to take any responsibility for yourself.
No, it's their fault. You didn't do anything.
You know whose fault it is? It's all these people that are prospering.
Do you see Elon Musk
their
over there?
fault.
He's building rockets. What did you build yesterday?
Must be
You
nice.
couldn't build a rocket? We should take from him.
You see how
Give
they're
to
living
you.
in a mansion and getting all that. Must be nice, huh?
Bezos
Must
has
be
a
nice.
yacht that is just going all over the Pacific Ocean. Like,
And it's because he has it that you don't.
That you are entitled to that. You might not have, did 20 years of making no money and risked everything that you had.
Listen, I know you
and
have
bought
that
into the
nasty
idea.
cooking meth
No,
habit
you don't
for
need
a
to do
while.
that. That should
but-
not be. That should not
Yeah.
be. Capitalism, evil as can be. Socialism is where it's at. Sorry, Jerry, for using that same kind of polarizing humor that got you in trouble yesterday. Let's see.
All people?
Go ahead.
Oh, all people that believe a pedo criminal grifter should be president would be institutionalized.
Yeah, you would just have to make your case that any of that stuff is true.
Yeah.
And I'm not.
If they truly were a pedo criminal grifter and we're like, that's the perfect person to lead us, we'd probably look a little crazy.
Yeah.
The thing is a lot of people don't think that's who the person is. And that's why.
The evidence of the Epstein files and in science, you might not be able to look at the positive, the things that are measurable, but you can make a lot of assumptions based on the negative, right? You can look at the void, the things you can't measure and see, and make some pretty good assumptions with what is going on. So the Epstein files implicated a ton of people that were into abusing young girls, right? And it'd be pretty easy. It would be pretty easy to say, oh, we don't want these people in the halls of Congress, and we don't want politicians and governors and entertainers. We don't want all these people around us. They're freaking terrible people. So let's just tell everybody who they are and put all of these people in prison. We can get back to our virtuous lives.
Yeah. And shine a spotlight on the fact that we're going to now watch for this and not stand for it.
Yes. So I want to compare. I know that human beings do terrible things, and especially if you give them money and power, they do even more terrible things. I am not singling out a single one of them because I don't know if they are or if they're not part of that group. I know there is a part of group because I'm dealing with a group of people that are obviously being insulated with the Epstein files, not coming to any kind of prosecutions, indictments, or, prison time. But Julie picks one person that she dislikes and makes that person realistically the only person that's going to appear in the Epstein because she doesn't like them and she wants him to be there. I'm not willing. Now, if President Trump is in the files, he committed crimes, he goes to prison 100%. Yep. I'm not going to lay down cover fire for him, but he's also innocent until you've given me enough evidence to say that he's not. Period. Let Isaac be authentic. Yeah, he honestly, the new media and your ability to get in front of a microphone and say whatever's on your mind, the most valuable thing to us at Youngstown Studio, to society, when you absolutely can have a voice, and to people like Isaac that might have opinions that are not status quo opinions and still allow them to be heard. So I would never shut Isaac up, but it's also when Isaac says something, I push back on it. Sometimes legitimately, where I play that argumentative state when he's here. Sometimes I do it just to make sure that he has the fortitude in his opinion that he can defend it well enough. And that's what media is supposed to do.
And hello, bros. Say, we never acknowledge people who come at us with laughing faces. BJ says, way to go, Kelin. Shake my head. I don't know what that was about, but thank you.
Carter says, for a while, Dan
back.
Rivers did his show on Facebook Live, but he never interacted with his Facebook viewers. It used to infuriate Julie and I, and that is why we appreciate you two. Carter, and it was more of a tech thing. The Facebook Live when at KBN, it was not an institution, right? It was not part of the system to do Facebook Live. He did that on his own. So what he was doing was putting his phone in the corner of the studio and piping in the audio. So it was that all of everything that was in front of him was the tools of a talk show host. That wasn't really part of the tool set. So it was off in the side. It was a great addition, but he didn't have like a central monitor that was collecting messages like we were. It was really hard for him to pull the phone down, see that there were even messages, and then type them out. So it was like that was sort of like the intro. He was on the cutting edge of what was available, and he was doing it even if in a primitive way. That's why he didn't interact with you guys.
Because couldn't see all of it.
He couldn't see it. He didn't see most of it until after the show.
Yeah.
Joe is sounding like Nick Fuentes. I think I could make Joe cry. Let's bring it, Julie, because I'm not Nick Fuentes. Yes, I have some beliefs that are a little, and when I say them, like when I take, if we got really down and I was the engineer and I said, okay, take your 150 million worst providers in the United States and put them in an institution. I'm saying mathematically they would qualify. I wouldn't say that we're just going to take those people and put them in an institution, because that's not a feasible thing to do. But I think in the end, if you gave a long enough timeline, about half of our country would end up institutionalized because of how dumb and crazy everyone actually was. And that's meant to be a highlighter. We should be less dumb. Let's fix that part of the problem so we don't have to institutionalize you. And let's be less crazy. Let's use our Department of Education to take the two things that we're doing poorly at and make those things better instead of creating more dumb people and more crazy people.
Let's have leaders that don't encourage craziness.
Right. Exactly.
Instead, encourage how to do things in a rational way.
Yeah. Elon stole all of our SSA info to sell on advocacy groups to overturn elections. That guy was claiming to be looking for fraud, is a fraudster. How ironic. And I've heard that charge a bunch of times. And, having a non-government person looking through the records of the government, I mean, it would be cool to say, yeah, he stole a bunch of stuff because, wants to collect data. You'd have to make that case where this was a nefarious deal, where he just wasn't looking for fraud, but he was looking to put a database of, it doesn't make a lot of logical sense as far as I'm concerned, but I'm willing and curious to hear the case.
What just strikes me as just so wild in our day and age. And I know this is nothing new and this is very obvious, but sometimes I just sit back and think, like, how wildly different the information different people receive. Like if your algorithm is feeding you content because they think you like this, you'll be seeing videos, headlines, news articles, reels, social media posts that are of one narrative and show proof, video footage to back that up. And the other side, who believes something totally opposite, is seeing videos, reels, headlines, news articles, social media posts that say the exact opposite with video footage to back that up. And neither side is seeing the others. So like Julie probably has an algorithm that if we logged into Julie's social media pages, we would see what we consider to be actual video proof of something that happened and how somebody is. And if you logged into someone else's, maybe Carter's social media, Carter's got legit video proof and interviews of the same person not being in any way that way. And isn't it so maddening and also, I think, nefarious that this is the case?
No,
like,
I don't. How would you
by
have it be any
design,
different? If you like something and the algorithms deliver what you like and you like to hear what you like to hear and it delivers you what you like to hear, how other, like, do you want an arbiter?
I mean, it makes sense.
That's exact. But once you know that you're being delivered what you like, just do a test. Okay. I did this weekend. I got a text message, a group text about, there was a girl called Pizza Girl. Have you heard of her?
Pizza Girl?
Yeah, you would not have heard of Pizza Girl.
No.
All right. So basically what it is, it's a Florida pizzeria. Okay.
Uh-huh.
And they took this Italian girl that was stacked, right? She is stacked. She is really good looking. She wears very revealing clothing. And in marketing materials, they have her load pizzas into an oven and prepare pizzas. And it's not about the pizzas whatsoever. This is about that really good looking girl. So I didn't know anything about her. I got this group text about her. I clicked on it. And now my feed is probably 40% ass pictures, like Pizza Girl ass pictures. I get like 9 of them.
And you're hating it, I'm sure.
Dude, I
can't stand it.
I wanted to hit stop showing me this type of content, but part of me is like, how deep does this rabbit hole go?
Research, it's educational purposes.
I hate looking at that stuff, but I can't look away. It's one of those things, you know?
Yeah.
But anyway, just play with it and find out how you can manipulate your own feed based on the things that you engage with and comment and even look at. If you only have to look at something for 5 seconds in order for the algorithm to say, oh, must be interested in that.
Yeah.
So like when I accidentally click on something and I didn't want to, I'm like, it's gonna freaking think I like that and give me more of that.
Yeah, I mean, that's why 2 people that are either best friends or family members that have never had an issue before and have always gotten along and seemed on the same page, now suddenly one can think Elon Musk is a caring, sensitive patriot that is working hard to help people, and the other thinks he's a Nazi. He's a shyster. He's trying to manipulate people just to increase his own wealth and power. These are the same highly educated, open-minded thinking, caring people that in any other way, in any other day-to-day situation would probably be on the exact same page, but they are getting different information. I'm not going to bring this up again, but just for a second, the Minnesota shooting. How is it that we've all said, I'm sure Julie is a rational thinking person. I think we are rationally thinking people. How can Julie and us be so different on what happened in that Minnesota instance? Because we're seeing 2 totally different videos, 2 totally different narratives. And to us, they are legitimate sources because there's no way Julie would see what we're seeing and not agree. And I bet if we saw what she was saying, we'd be like, oh, I totally see why you're saying that. But instead of people, I think, keying in on that, like, oh, you clearly saw something that made you think this way. It's, no, you're wrong and you're an idiot and you're a fascist and you're racist. And I can't, but I love when I see people on Facebook go, I had no idea how many of my friends and family were so blah, blah, blah. Because you're being served completely different content than they are. Yeah, I bet you both agree. I bet if we all sat down and watched the exact same sources of information, we'd all be on the same page. But we don't. And it's not the person that you're hating. I bet Julie and Carter could get on the same page real quick if they both watch the same internet content. But they don't. That was my little soapbox. Sorry. I had to go off of it.
But you see why we're doomed, right? You see why this does not have an end, because it's not like it's going to get different. If you go to the buffet and they only serve you what you like, you're going to get more of what you like and you're going to be happy because of it. But you're going to look at somebody who's doing a different thing and judge them based on completely different ingredients to what made up their brain. So we have these two realities that are shifting, where Julie and I, every day that goes by, will think differently based on how captured we are into our ecosystem that we bought into. We did that willingly. So there's going to be people in our population that have a separate reality different than our own.
Yeah.
Now, like you said, if you get two people that just get together, like I met yesterday with a defendant that was being accused of a crime, right? Have nothing in common with this person. And I sat down with them and I spent a good bit of 45 minutes talking to them. And they are most likely a criminal and I am most likely not, right? And we spoke, and none of my political views, you know what we were both pursuing? The truth.
The truth.
The truth. That's all we were doing. What's provable, what I can defend, what I can see. And I wasn't judging that person based on any history because I don't freaking know them. But we were able in a moment to say the most pure thing, which is what the two of us, what can we freaking prove? And that is the mathematics of the universe. So if a Julie and a Carter can go out in public, they can have a lunch together. They're not going to mess around talking about something they know they're going to disagree with. They're going to come to some common ground of things that are important to them. So the periphery is all the things that don't matter, is we spend most of our time arguing about. There's going to be a moment where if there's a bunch of intelligent people in society, they're going to say, my goodness, like I'm spending 80% of the time expensing energy on things that doesn't change anything, doesn't fulfill my life at all, doesn't make the world better. I'm going to stop doing that now.
Yeah, because not only do you have to acknowledge the fact that you're both getting served different information and you've got to sort of be on the same page, like you two both just trying to find the truth, but you have this third party bad actors that thrive if you don't. I got to come in the room and be like, no. Here's why you guys are actually enemies. You can't both be on the pursuit of the truth. Someone would have to suggest it.
And there's a lot of incentive to fight with people who otherwise Julie and I would get along great. Carter and I would get along great. Jerry and I would get along great. So long that we didn't take something that was not even in our purview. I'm not voting on legislation today. I'm not taking over Greenland. I don't have any say in any kind of foreign, foreign issues. You know what I have to, my sole obligation is local, right? It's my family, my neighborhood, my friends, colleagues, and whatnot. Mm-hmm. If I could put all of my energy into helping and making those things better, I would never have time to fuss about something that is not in my control, not in my purview.
I always say life was better in the 90s. This is why.
Tracy, thoughts on city council picking the new council person? Big time bias in Youngstown. I know little about it, so I don't have I do not have an opinion on that. Carter said, okay, thanks, Joe. We never knew that. Shit, what was that about? That was like 10 minutes ago.
Sorry, we get on our rants and then your comments go by and we don't know what you were referring to. We got to read faster.
And then Julie says, I try to mix it up, my algorithms, to see how the other side thinks. In quotes, other side.
Julie says, I have been wondering about your algorithms, Kelin. Yeah, I bet you we have totally different content.
All right, let's do a little test here. You have your phone on you?
Yes.
All right, I just want you to pop open Facebook.
Okay.
And let's just do a refresh and see what gets suggested to you. And I want to compare.
Okay.
A deal.
Can't use your phone. It's all butts and pizza girl.
If a butts come up, I'm going to say a butts. But give me a summary, like give me a category of what comes up first.
Like what, reels and stuff? Is that what we're looking at?
No, just posts on there. So the first one on my timeline is an anti-capitalism, Cuba's awesome deal. And this is weird.
The first one is us. live.
Is it?
I'm watching myself
So
do this.
this page that I follow is Democratic Socialism. So it's basically making the case that capitalism's terrible and Cuba's awesome.
Okay,
the
let's
second
see.
one, the second one is
Is that Pizza Girl?
no, it's not Pizza
Oh.
Girl, but it is a scantily clad woman and
Let's
another
see.
scantily clad woman.
I've got a boutique, a clothing boutique.
Okay, and then I got Bob Hagan talking about Trump.
A woman in her 50s who is now into fitness and lifting because that's what I'm doing.
And then I've got a conservative commentary. I've got WFMJ. I've got a legislator.
I've got more girls talking about protein and fitness. I've got styling jeans for 2026.
This is my favorite channel. Best dad jokes. I get a sampling multiple times a day of the best dad jokes because my 15-year-old loves dad jokes.
Here's TMZ. Congrats to JD Vance and his wife Usha, who are expecting their 4th child, followed by another boutique.
Now we have this page is Democrats are destroying the country. I got 570 WKBN.
Let's see. Brad Jensen. I don't know who that is. Maybe he does greatest gifts. I can help clients watching them. Be a gym person, so more health and fitness stuff.
Okay, I've got comedians. I fancy myself a comedian.
And home decor.
I don't know if it comes through, but I am really a funny guy. If I could start a new life, I would probably be on stage comedian.
You think so?
I do. I think I am funny as hell.
Well, I love
Does
that
it come
for
through?
you.
Does that come through on the show? Am I funny?
Sometimes. Now, here's the thing.
That's
if I go on
encouraging.
Instagram, it's very bashing far left people. My Instagram feed is probably either people on the right or libertarians bashing far left.
Is that because you're a Trumper?
I'm not a Trumper.
Your Instagram feed says differently.
Apparently, I click on stuff about people acting crazy and how they should stop acting crazy.
I will point out that I got no Pizza Girl butts on that first feed,
That's
so
good.
it's at least fading in my interests.
So would you want to be a stand-up comedian if someone's
I would absolutely
like stand up, like actually write it?
Oh heck yeah! So I got a when Basil was coming through in December, I was talking to Funny Farm Comedy Club, and they were doing open mic nights, and I said, I'm going to do a terrible set. I'm going to do nothing but dad jokes. I'm going to get up there for 5 minutes and tell nothing but dad jokes. Make it as cringe as you possibly can. Right.
Oh,
and when and they said, we'd love you to do that. And I was like, I'm seriously considering this. So I started writing out what I would say. But then part of my brain started saying, well, if people are sacrificing their day to come see you, like, don't be a train wreck. Try to put something together that's at least a little bit entertaining. So I started saying, okay, well, I might do some dad jokes for the novelty of having done it, but let's add some value in there. And the only reason I didn't do it is because I felt the set was not good enough to take the position away from someone who might actually be trying to do it and upend that whole thing.
Yeah.
So it was a moral dilemma more than anything.
Well, then
else.
we have a new business venture here.
Okay.
You know what I've always wanted to do?
What?
I've always wanted to be like on Saturday Night Live and be an actress that does sketch comedy.
I would love that.
You could write it.
Okay.
And write all the jokes and produce everything.
Do you think it could be funny? You're kind of a serious person. I can't see you being funny. You got sarcasm.
Serious person?
But I've never seen you be funny. Like, you've been funny.
I made you laugh this morning.
But not funny in a ha-ha way.
I literally have watched you ha out loud at things I've said
only
and done.
Because it was like 1 degree away from serious, and that was odd for you. So I felt like I'd give you some encouragement.
That's called delivery, man.
No,
I have made you laugh out loud, Joe.
By
Danyi.
next show, bring something that doesn't feel contrived and just be funny for.
Here's
a
the
period of
thing.
time. Yeah,
that's why there are writers. I would be the one
come on.
doing the sketch comedy. You're the writer.
So when you see a musician and they sing this song and you connect with it, and then you find out that the band played it and a writer wrote it. They didn't even know what they were going to be singing. They read it off a teleprompter. Does that diminish
probably at least half or 60% of singers have songwriters.
Does it diminish in your brain knowing that song didn't come from their heart and mind?
If they wrote it themselves, I think more highly of them. If they didn't write it, they just performed it, I still say you had some talent in the delivery. So other artists couldn't have done that.
That is what I'm going to suggest to you, is that you write your own material and see if you're not just a funny delivery person, but you are a funny person. I want you to be a funny person. Can you just try it? Bring some material to the show.
The next time you so much as ha or laugh or snicker at me,
take note.
I'm writing it down.
Absolutely.
And after a month, I'm going to be like, here's the 85 times I made Joe Danyi laugh.
And then I'll give you constructive criticism about what made me laugh about it. And when you get this has popular appeal joke versus this was a curated one specifically for Joe, because there's some things you can say to me that everybody else wouldn't find funny, but I find freaking hilarious. You got to do popular appeal type of joking, and then we'll be on to something.
So Julie says my Facebook is mostly dog rescues and dog videos, which proves my point, Julie. We are each other's people. My husband's a dog trainer. We love dogs. We help out with animal charities. If it weren't for our open discussion of right and left in politics, we would be probably friends with Julie. And now otters. Yep, I get all kinds of otter videos now on Instagram because they're so cute, and I keep watching all my otter videos. But Julie says I could see Kelin being an SNL Caroline Levitt. Levitt. I don't know how to say that. I could totally do that. Don't you think?
I want to see it take shape. I want you to use this show as practice to bring some of your Caroline Levitt,
that's
your
Trump's
mannerism.
Press secretary, right? First of all, I do this because she has lip injections now.
Does she really?
I think so.
You women are so critical.
I think she's got.
Other.
I'm not being critical. I'm just saying. I think she has lip injections now, and she'd be like, "That's why you shouldn't even be in this room because you're a left-wing hack. You're parading in here as a real reporter with your fake news when you have absolutely no idea what you're talking about, when the president of the United States is trying to make this country safe for everyone again and its citizens, and all you want to do is put bias bullshit in your articles."
All right, let me point out that was a great impression, but there was nothing funny about that. So if you're going to do SNL,
because she wasn't being funny, I was being her.
No, you thought the lips were what was funny, and that's why you magnified them.
In character. Oh my God.
Just try to make it funny.
Are we on the same team or are we not?
Just try to make it funny next time and we'll be on the same page.
Here's your second death stare of the day.
All right, got two. I need one more by the show's end. I got another 40 minutes to pull that
Remember
out.
when I did that amazing Bernie Sanders impersonation?
It was good. Yeah.
Yeah. See, I'm on SNL.
Well, you did not say that you're going to go do impersonations for a living. You said comedy, things that are funny. That's why we're putting the emphasis on funny, not just
I
the
do
impression.
a good impersonation and you write a joke, I will do the joke as that person and it will be funny.
That is terrible advice because I'm I'm on my pursuit of funny as it is right now.
Does anyone else feel like Joe's just trying to fight me on this? Instead of us coming together, you're just fighting me.
It's authentic. It's authentic. I'm giving you great advice, and it's truthful advice. I'm not your little girlfriends are going to say you're perfect and everything is perfect. I'm not going to do that to you and give you a false sense of security. I'm going to give you the secure what you're good at and work on this stuff.
Are we making a sketch comedy show? Raise your hand if you want a Youngstown studio sketch comedy show.
Yeah, the polling by raise of hands is not a good metric.
You're going to see all these people in the chat going, me.
Okay. All right, what do you want to talk about?
I think you just laughed.
Snort?
You just laughed out loud.
But never mind. I'm not going to say it. What else do you want to talk about?
What were we talking about earlier? Made me think of something. Isn't Caroline Levitt also pregnant?
Yeah.
So now we got second lady, whatever she is. I don't know Usha's title. What is Usha's title? JD Vance's wife, Usha. What's her title?
Yeah, she's
second lady?
Second vice lady. I
don't know. Carter says me. Thank you, Carter.
See, that wasn't a hand raise. That was characters.
2 people now in this administration pregnant. Have we ever had that? Have we ever had a presidential?
And that is sort of evidence that we are involving younger people into politics because younger people have families and babies, and especially conservative families, they traditionalists, and this is the natural tendency of family.
Now, Carolyn is younger. Her husband is not that young. Have you seen their age difference? I mean, he's like what, in his 60s? It's not like he's ancient, but
yeah. Well, she's super fertile, and if you've got power and influence and money, that you pick a fertile woman to share your seed with and create more prosperous people. That makes total sense.
But it is interesting. I think this is the first time we've seen active pregnancies in the administration.
Yeah. More of it. More of it.
More of it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what do you think? Who's going to be the press secretary when she's on maternity leave?
I don't know. I think press secretary is a hard job, but there's a lot of people that can do it. I don't think we're going to, have a hard time finding someone after seeing somebody who did it for a full year, what they dealt with. The questions are just so repetitive. Like if you watch one press conference, you watch them all, you know what everybody's going to say.
When in doubt, say, I will defer you to that department and get you that information when we're done here.
Yeah, they could have a soundboard and they can have Bill come in. And then when they ask the question, they just hit the little soundboard button and it says that thing.
Just use AI, have a screen of Carolyn up on there just saying, you're a hack. You're a hack.
Exactly.
You're a hack.
It's all predetermined anyway. And just have Max Headroom on the. You remember Max Headroom, by the way?
I don't think so.
Seriously?
I don't think. Yeah, that's all she has to do is CNN, you're a hack, Fox News, kiss our ass, and
that's it.
That's all you need.
That's it.
That's every press secretary.
I mean, again, it's hard because you have a person that's answering the same questions in the same way, hitting pushback from a captured press. I mean, you can find some people to do that.
What's more annoying, watching a press conference or watching like a Senate hearing where they're like grilling somebody pointlessly?
I listen to it in the background, but there's been times, especially when you bring expertise in different specializations, every once in a while I'll get a hint of someone who knows what they're doing. But I always look at them. You ever help your grandparents with technology?
No.
Okay.
They get some kind of new device.
They get a new device and the fandangled thing is too complicated and I don't really understand it. And it's sort of like you have the 18-year-old who has a full handle on it, right? Trying to dumb it down enough so that an ancient like centurion can understand it. Yeah. And the back and forth is the questions are like the grandfather would ask. And the 18-year-old about how inside, they're rolling their eyes because, this person's trying to get, an infinite amount of information and expertise in a 2-second soundbite where I'm going to be interrupted 5 times by somebody else. Like it's not worthwhile at all. And I got, there's one time I got called into somebody who was running they were in Congress at this point. And there was a cryptocurrency bill that was coming through and they knew nothing about cryptocurrency. So they hired me to come in and give them the Cliff's notes on cryptocurrency and how they should vote. They wanted to be, they want to be advised.
Informed
about it so they can vote appropriately.
Yeah.
The whole effing time I'm like, here's like common knowledge and here's where you're at. The bridge that I'm going to have to build, right, to give you enough insight so that instead of like, if you said, what should I do? And then I'll tell you what to do, then that would have been better than you not going to tell me what you're going to do. And I'm just going to fill you in on 20 years of technology. So you have a perfect understanding of it. So you can vote. I was like, I bet you this shit happens every effing day. I'm voting on X. I know nothing about it. Let me bring in an expert. They have 2 minutes to tell me everything in that expertise. And I'm going to, the one side's going to push up against, so one of them's going to lay down glowing reviews, and then we're going to make a decision on something when you still have a Cliff's Notes version of expertise, and you're voting on an important thing. It was the most, I don't know. It's that situation just made me feel very uneasy about how the system works.
Do you think knowing how important it is to have sort of educated views when you're voting on something, Do you think 18 is a good age for people to vote? Do you think it's too young? Do you think it's fine? Do you think like 18-year-olds have the capacity to sort of do necessary research?
See, I'm a balanced person, and I think law should reflect that everybody has to be able to defend against the government. The government's an evil, right? They are going to be tyrannical if you allow them. And if the government can tax you as an 18-year-old, then an 18-year-old should be able to have their voice be known to push up against the thing that the government wants to do to them. So if the government didn't touch any of your finances, it didn't mess with your life and didn't enact rules against you, then you shouldn't be allowed to vote because you have no skin in the game, right? But the minute that you have skin in the game, so if the government can go after a corporation, then the corporation should be able to lobby against whatever they're doing to them, right? So if you don't want corporations to sort of have a voice in our society, then you can have government that fires shots up, across the bow to the corporation. That's the way it has to be. It has to be in line where everybody has fair representation against an evil or an aggressive force to be able to defend yourself.
So no, yes.
Are 18-year-olds, do they have a job and they're taxed by the government?
Yeah.
Okay. Are there rules and laws that are waged against them?
Yeah.
So yes, they should be. Anybody who has something waged against them should be able to vote against those things.
Should 18-year-olds then be able to drink?
As long as 18-year-olds can serve consequences, like your ability.
An 18-year-old can go to jail for something.
They can go to jail, so they should be able to
They
drink.
can serve in the military.
Yeah, you can give them, PR campaigns about how your brain's not formed and you're not a good decision maker, and there's a lot of risk in doing these things. But ultimately, it comes down to, free will and choice.
Why is it you think then they can vote, they can serve in the military, they can hold a job, they can be considered a legal adult, they can go to jail, can't rent a car? Do you find that funny?
Well, that's a private thing. Like
yeah,
when you
I know. It's not a law.
negotiate, like I can
Yeah.
set the standards whether or not you are too big of a risk that I'm not going to rent to you.
Yeah. It was just kind of interesting. By the way, Julie says that was a good start off the cuff, Kelin.
Good impression.
Thank you.
Not great comedy.
I don't even think it was a great impression, but it was off the cuff. It was moment's notice. Just imagine if we had a team of writers.
Since you put us on this path of skin in the game type of thing.
Yeah.
Right. That puts a lot of, U.S. voters that are voting on things they have no skin in the game on.
Mhm.
You can vote for something that does not affect you whatsoever.
Yeah.
And, as far as like leadership in government, there are a lot of people that they are insulated from all of the effects of what they vote on. They're going to be okay no matter what. So the best leaders are ones that will put themselves out there and put them in the same risk as the people who are now have those laws and rules and regulations applied to them. Those are my favorite ones because it's like, if you came to me and said, hey, I think this thing should be done, right? Well, how sure are you of this thing that should be done? I'm super sure. And if you're wrong, I'm charging you $1 billion, right? And then you're like, well, I'm less sure now because if I'm wrong, like when I knew that there was no consequence from being wrong,
Yeah.
I was certain of it.
But the
now
stakes are higher.
But now the stakes are higher, and if I'm wrong, I got to think through it and see how right I really, really am. So if you take we'll take an immigration person. We don't think that immigrants should be kicked out of the country and they shouldn't, they should be on social services. You think that that's a great expensive taxpayer. Well, by my logic, then you have enough people who are pro illegal immigrant that we just start a host program. Anybody who loves illegal immigrants become their host, and they are then responsible for the person to live with them, feed them, make sure they have medical care.
Be sort of their sponsor.
Exactly, a sponsor. And if they're good, no problem. They live with you. They become an extension of your family, and then you integrate them into the lifestyle. If you're afraid that they're criminals that are going to steal your shit, they're going to take your money, they're going to just be this big tax on your household, then you got to think it through. Now you have actual skin in the game, and you could contemplate all of the downside risks, because it's not society at large that gets to shoulder those consequences. It's you freaking personally. So those reels where the guy, it's a prank, and going to a household and saying illegal immigrants and saying, hey, here's a petition, would you host one of these families? And all of a sudden they change their tunes and say yeah, not me, somebody else, kind of thing. So I really think that more skin in the game with what we sort of like inflict on the populace, where individuals are more individually related to how they feel. And then we can almost make it so that, okay, let me think of a good example. So do you feel like Elon Musk should be taxed more than he is right now?
I don't know what he's taxed right now, but is it the same amount that everybody else gets taxed? Or is it just tax him more because he's a billionaire?
Well, two issues. We'll do the first one.
Okay.
We all receive paychecks, right? Elon Musk does not receive a paycheck. Okay. So the way that we're taxed doesn't even exist in his world. So a person that really doesn't pay income tax versus us is not a fair, comparison. So if you have a person that doesn't collect a paycheck, how should they be taxed?
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of why I couldn't have a yes or no, is I don't know what he receives and what he does.
This is a waterfall example. So that if you put yourself in the position, you decided that you are not going to collect a paycheck. So you don't have the luxury of having a regular payment made to you on a regular incremental basis. Mm-hmm. So now you've foregone the security of having
I don't always have money.
Okay. Yeah. So you can then take assets. Right? Do you have assets? Do you have a car? Do you have a house and whatever? So you're not collecting a paycheck, but you have a house.
Yeah.
Now I'm looking at you, and you absolutely have more than me. How much of your assets then, since you don't have a paycheck that I could take, how much of your assets am I entitled to? How much should you be taxed on your car and your house and anything else that you might own?
Well, I don't want you to tax it because I don't have a way to pay it. I have no paycheck.
No, you can just sell some of your assets to pay the taxes.
But then I have nothing.
Well, you could sell some of them. You don't have to sell all of them. Just sell some of them.
Like how much?
Whatever the taxes are. Do you think it should be 50%?
I don't know.
What's fair? Like, you didn't collect a paycheck. You gave that portion up, right? So,
but I also didn't get anything.
Right. You built a company, and the company became valuable. You bought a house, and the house became valuable. What do you owe back to me? You took the risk of buying a house. It could have gone the other way, where the house could have been worth nothing, but it happened to do really well. So I think because you have more than me, you should have to take a portion of your house, sell it, rent it, whatever, create some income off of it, and give me some of that.
No.
Why?
Because it's mine. And you didn't build it. I did.
So I wasn't involved when you took the risk, and I wasn't helping you. I wasn't invested in it.
I did it knowing I have no paycheck coming in.
Okay, so how do you then, when it comes to taxation, how do you then take people who don't collect paychecks, and most of the IRS collections are coming off of paychecks, people decide not to participate there. How do you go get their money?
I guess you got to try to tax their assets.
Okay, your house. So tax their assets and take something that you have. I mean, if it's not good for you, it's probably not good for people who have more than you, right? Philosophically.
Like, let's say I'm not rich. It's not a big house and a boat and a luxury car you're talking about. Let's say it's just, I have a 1-bedroom apartment that I barely get by on, and I got some food that I grow in the yard outside, and I don't get a paycheck. Well, guess what? You're still giving me part of your garden and part of your apartment. They're going to say, what are you talking about?
Does it feel more justified if you have more than you have less?
I think some people think so, yeah.
Okay, so I had this example. Someone came to give me a quote on painting my house, right? Mm-hmm. And I got advice from people to not park my cars in the driveway because they're going to see how much money you make, and they're going to give you a higher rate because you have more money versus, take a couple beaters and make it look terrible and you'll get a better rate. None of us want to be judged because we can afford something, then our prices are going to be higher. Nobody wants to be treated.
That's where that whole must be nice mentality comes in. It's like, you don't even know.
So dynamic pricing. Are you, did you hear all about that a couple weeks ago?
No.
Okay. So dynamic pricing is a way of, like, when you go shop a website, the website will provide pricing to you that is either uniform. I go to the site, it's the price. You go to the site, it's the price. No differential whatsoever. But if you buy certain brands of products and I buy other brands of products, it will see that you buy higher premium, and we can go look at the same thing. Your price could be up to 50% higher than what my price is because it knows you can afford it. Are we comfortable with being able to have dynamic pricing depending on if you have more than another person? Now, while it might be true that you would pay a higher price, is that a fair, principally fair to be able to take dynamic pricing and treat different people in a different way based on what they can afford versus what the value of the thing that you're giving to them?
Yeah, and I guess, I mean, devil's advocate would be, are you going to have those people that can draw a paycheck, but do everything they can to work it around so that they don't look like they're getting one so they don't get taxed? Like if they're like, I could do this, but I choose to work it this way. Still legal, still works for them. But is that, and I don't know, I'm asking, is that why people get all up in arms about it? Is you could be doing this and you're actively using a system that can keep you from ever being in a position to pay?
It would only be, as far as I'm concerned, wrong if that same thing was not afforded to everybody. Okay. So if teachers get summers off and I am not a teacher, but I feel like I should have summers off, you would tell me, well, go become a teacher if you want summers off, right? That's logically sound. So if somebody does a different thing and there's a benefit to doing a different thing, then I would tell you, go do that different thing so you could have that benefit. So forego the paycheck. If you're like, okay, I'm willing to forego the paycheck, take risks. Okay. Take risks. Be able to go through the wins and losses of being in a high risk category. Okay. Now don't cut yourself a paycheck and accumulate assets that are taxed at a lesser rate. Go do all those things and you can go do it too.
Like when people say, oh, must be nice to have health care and be able to retire early. Well, join the military.
Go become
deploy overseas.
Politician. Exactly.
Yeah.
We almost like take a thing that is completely different and we want to shake down the benefits without having to take the risks or the responsibilities of doing that different thing. Everybody can go do an Elon Musk right now.
Yeah. Yeah, but I think the lie that they're being fed is you can't do what they do. They were set up.
Right.
They were systematically set up to thrive and be in that position, and you're just not. And so they'll always...
the victim class basically takes fake arguments and undermines. And the messaging should be, here's the life story of Elon Musk and how he made his wealth like just through sheer will. And then you have the lying class, the Democrats, who say his dad owned an emerald mine and he was given all this subsidy money. He didn't do any of this himself. He was given a free ride kind of thing. Well, the messaging, if I wanted to make sure nobody broke off, stopped doing a paycheck, opened a business, took a bunch of risk and win and lose sometimes and made something big. Like if I want to undermine that, I would say, even if you do that, screw you. It's not going to work.
Yeah. Like I've mentioned this before. There's this guy, I think his name's Brian Johnson. He's the guy that's trying to like live forever. He's doing all kinds of these like experimentation health things and whatever, because he's like a billionaire and he can do this. And he was in a debate with someone that was like, well, it must be nice that you can do all these different things and you can talk about how important it is to eat healthy all the time. We can't afford to eat healthy all the time. We don't have these opportunities, yada, yada, yada. You can because you're a billionaire. And he's like, I wasn't born a billionaire. I had no money until I was like midlife. And he's like, I struggled. There were times I didn't eat. I went into a very bad depression and wanted to kill myself. And it wasn't until I think he created Venmo, if it's who I'm thinking of. Came up with an amazing idea, was an entrepreneur. It grew and he sold it for billions of dollars. Mm-hmm. And now he has money.
Right.
But the other people are just like, oh, must be so nice. You get all these things. And now you're privileged because you have money. And they have absolutely no idea how he came to be where he is and what he sacrificed to get there.
Yeah. That should be the messaging. Go make your sacrifices early before you have family. Later in life, then you can try to live forever. Like, that should be the messaging. That is a noble thing where we encourage more people to take risks when they can and make the world better. But instead, we have a entitled society where they want all the benefits of the people who took the risks. Like, it, you know, I use my village example for this. And so you had all the workers that did all of the plowing and planting and nurturing and watering and whatever, right? And they went out when they really didn't want to go out, and they did all this thing. And now you get to the bountiful fall where they got all the food. How many people are lined up, right, to get the food when they were all playing Xbox, right, while all the planting was going on, and somehow feel like, oh shit, I made a bad choice. I should have been out there helping and doing and learning and becoming stronger. Now I want the benefit of having all that work, and I feel like it's my mistake. I'm somehow I can't take responsibility for that. I'm gonna blame all of you, and how dare you? It's entitled that you get to eat when I don't get to eat, and whatever.
You learned how to fish, I didn't, and you should give me your fish.
That's exactly right. But that, again, that's what the entitled, and the narrative isn't even there. We're not even telling kids that they're not entitled to anything. Let's just say you have your in our group of people that we travel with, we go to restaurants a lot, right? And we always pick the restaurants based on where we want to go, because each of our families are paying for our own meals. Now, if you're a little 20-year-old who has never gone to a restaurant and swiped their credit card when the bill came, the restaurant you would pick would be different, right? Because you think you just go to a restaurant and they give you all this stuff and somebody else pays for it. Of course you don't care if you're going to the lobster place or not, because there's no downside to picking a restaurant when you're not the one freaking paying the bill. And we have a ton of people who have no idea what the true costs of things are. And so their choices of what things are and what they cost and what the repercussions are, they just have no relationship with.
God, yeah, that's right. We're trying to teach our kids that. Like, my daughter has a debit card now, and money goes in that. If she does something, we can give her a little bit of money, or she helps our neighbor sometimes and the neighbor pays her, or she'll do like birthday and Christmas gifts and things like that. And she has this little account. Well, we were at a store the other day and she wanted to buy something. She's like, I got it. I got my card. And I said, do you have enough money on your card? Well, I think so. And I was like, because you can overdraw and it'll still go through, but you don't actually have money. I think I do. Well, what happened? She overdrew. And guess what? Now you get to pay a little fee. So what you just bought is more expensive than you even thought. But you know what she's going to do now? Watch that and make sure she doesn't do that again.
Now she has a relationship with what things cost and what the real systems are. And if you wouldn't have done that, if you had shielded her for that, she would think money is this apparition, this mystery, magical money.
Yeah.
Right? When they find out electricity costs things and heat costs things and gas costs things and whatever, they're like, how do you even do this? Look at all these costs. How do you even do it?
Yeah. We were having dinner one time and I can't remember how we got on the subject, but it was something about money and pay and things. And they're like, well, just do this and then you'll have money for it. And I'd be like, oh, will I? Do you see where we're sitting right now? You notice there are lights on? Does it feel warm in here? There's a house around you. There's food on the table. All of this had to be paid for before I could buy this thing. And they're like, oh, yeah.
Yeah, they get it. But there are adults who go through life not knowing who's paying that bill, because they look at Elon Musk and say, he should just pay more so I can have things for free. So that relationship is completely disconnected. And if you are a ward of the state, if you don't, and I think that the tragedy is that a lot of people who are receiving benefits don't even know that it's coming from someone else. They feel so entitled that those are just free things for everybody. And they have no idea that you have to pay for things that they absolutely have never even contemplated paying for. But it's a sickness. It really is something that...
It is kind of funny, though, that we've sort of touched on, like, whether it's TDS or just some derangement of anybody in power, all of a sudden then it is top of mind when it's like, for example, Trump's ballroom. When people heard Trump's getting a ballroom, all of a sudden everybody's got something to say now because they thought the voters were paying for it. Well, we're paying for that. He shouldn't be allowed to do that. Well, guess what? We're not. It's his own money and private donations. Oh, but where's that outrage when you want someone else then to just hand something over, or you want our money to go to somebody else that is going to abuse it? It's like selective outrage. Carter says, good show today. Kelin was hilarious.
Yeah. I give it a 3 on the scale of 10. Hilarious to a 3.
What would you give yourself, Joe Danyi?
I was a 1 today. I was far too grumpy.
I'm surprised you didn't say 5.
All right, 7.
You're like, I was a 7 out of 5.
You talked me into it. Now, how do you feel about universal high income?
Universal high income.
This is an Elon Musk brainchild.
What is it? I don't know what that is. Universal high income.
Universal basic income.
For the most part.
Okay, so it's basically if you're a citizen of the United States, every month the government sends you a check that covers basic necessities, shelter, and they take a national average or a geographical average of wherever you live, and they give you just enough to be able to make sure that you have a house, the lights are on, you have all the basic needs met by that government check. So housing is essentially free for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Yeah.
That's universal basic income.
Yeah.
Now, universal high income is basically everything is covered because money doesn't matter anymore. AI has taken over all of the jobs. Everything that can be done in the marketplace does not need a human being behind it. And all the money and the prosperity that's being collected from this is enough to give everybody a high income where they don't have to worry about what's in their bank account. They just do their thing.
That sounds scary.
Why?
Nothing has value anymore.
You think? You think?
Nothing has value anymore. There's no currency. There's no...
I feel like Econ 101 is creeping into your brain right now. And you're like, wait a minute, mathematically, if you just give everybody... Huh?
Yeah, that's me. I was saying, wait a minute. Yeah, nobody's working. There's no jobs. There's no point.
We don't have to. You can spend 8 hours a day, collect your universal high basic
and then
income,
do what?
And explore yourself and express all of those amazing ideas that you have into the world. Now,
like what? What are you going to do?
You can create great artwork. Oh, wait, AI is doing that. You can make songs. Wait, AI is doing that too. You can have the next invention. Oh, nobody can buy anything because everybody gets, money.
There's no value to anything.
Mm-hmm. Do you know how much of a possibility and probability this actually is?
Oh, scary.
Mm-hmm.
Like I want a boat, I'll go buy a boat. You just give it to me.
There you go. High income.
I want to stay home and sleep all day. No one's riding me not to do that.
Mm-hmm. You don't have to save for retirement because retirement.
How do you even get all this stuff made? If anybody can get whatever car they want, whatever boat they want, whatever luxury item they want, whatever grocery item they want, whatever gas, endless amounts of gas for all the traveling because I can go wherever I want.
Yeah, no competition.
Where's the supply coming from?
You get to choose from a Ford Focus or a Lamborghini, just whatever you want.
How's it made? Who makes it?
The AI, the robots will make you your car.
From what? Where are they getting the materials?
The mining, the robots are mining. They're running the foundry. They're running the assembly line. They're running the economy. The robots are doing it. Yeah, farming's done by robots.
And then they're shipping it to the store.
Robots are shipping it to other robots, and yeah.
This is a bad idea.
You think?
Yeah, I think it's a very bad idea. Do you like this idea?
I don't like it. I just know that it is the end. It is what will happen.
And then just start dying off?
No. I think that will be the footnote of you had greatness happened because of the competitive marketplace. There was incentive to be able to create and do. You remove the incentive of prosperity where everybody's prosperous, and that means nobody is prosperous. So the incentive to do anything meaningful goes way down. And then we're in a primitive state. We're essentially enslaved by luxury, right? We don't need to do anything. So therefore, there'll be very few people that want to do anything. And even the people who want to do anything won't have a reason to do anything.
I always say, for me, COVID was awful. That whole time period was awful because to me, life felt so pointless. I'd get up in the morning and be like, why? Why get out of bed? What am I going to go do? Nothing. Where am I going? Nowhere. And while it was nice to sleep in as late as I want because I don't have a job and I'm not going anywhere, I also didn't have to worry about it. We were making money. We were literally given money and not going to work for it. And it was awful for me. I hated it. I would give anything to go back to work when I was in COVID.
You would be the minority. Like what I'm suggesting for 90% of the people is the dream, right? To not have to do anything.
Now, granted, with COVID, you were not allowed to go anywhere. But could you make money, not have to go to work, be allowed to leave and go do whatever you want?
Right.
Might have enjoyed that a little more. But don't things become enjoyable because they are not the norm? Like when people were like, woo, it's Friday, the weekend is here. Would you get that high if every day was the weekend?
For a short period. And even what you were experiencing with time would have trailed off. Like you would be annoyed because you would have a distant, a memory of what your purpose was and how you needed to fulfill the purpose. When that purpose erodes, like what do human beings become without a focus or purpose? They just become primitive animals. And everything that you can predict,
get depressed. That's been shown. Depression comes with feeling like I have no purpose. There is no point to this life. Depression sinks in. That's not good.
Okay. Well, I'm telling you that is where we're headed, and start making preparations for it.
But don't human beings have the ability to see that is happening and kill the robots?
Yeah. AI, everybody saw that it's a dangerous prospect that does it, and we did it anyway. So
we all saw Terminator.
You think a smart person stands up and says, we shouldn't do this, and everybody's like, oh, let's defer to the smart person.
We've all seen The Matrix.
And then everybody else is like, can it show me boobs? Right? And then that's what ends up winning. The primitive state will win, even if, and that's where Elon Musk has gotten off the push back against it track. And he's like, well, nothing's stopping it, so might as well get down and just tell you what's going to happen kind of thing.
If you can't beat it, join it.
That's right, exactly right.
It sounds awful.
Okay. It's just assured it's going to happen.
Can you imagine even like going on vacation and be like, nobody has to work. I have a new car. I have a boat. I'm going to the beach. I'm going to go boating and jet skiing. But everybody else is also doing that.
Yeah.
Like where you can't move. You can't go anywhere. I bet you the wait time for everything is insane. Gas stations, restaurants, anything. Nobody's going to work anymore. What do you all do? Just run into each other all day, every day?
Yeah. It would get old super fast, and it would
Real
devolve
fast.
to a primitive state in really short order.
I don't like it.
Okay. Just be prepared for it. It probably won't happen in your lifetime. Maybe by the time your granny Kelin, that will start getting into universal basic income, free healthcare.
By the time I'm a granny, I feel like that's not that far off.
Okay. So I want you to agree this to me. There's a book, right?
Yeah.
It is called Utopia. And I want you to read this book, right? And I want you to read the first couple of chapters thinking like, oh, this is so happy and everybody has everything that they want there. And then read the chapters at the end, right?
Yeah.
And paint the picture of exactly where we're headed. And the reason that they can write a book like this way back in our history is listening to the people and what they say they want. And what would happen if we just gave everybody what they wanted? Would they be truly happy, or would they just become the animal farm, right? With today's contexts. I believe, because I know who people are, and if you set, there are filters and restrictions that keep human beings socially sane, right? If you remove too many of those too quickly, our primitive selves are going to get magnified and we're going to become utopia and animal farm.
I bet you this even diminishes our ability to feel consideration, empathy, sympathy. Any sort of emotional connection with humans is probably gone, because why would you? Why would you? We're all doing the same thing. We all have the same things.
We're hierarchical, if that's a word.
Hierarchical?
Yeah.
Hierarchical.
So we like our hierarchy.
Look, it's happening already. We're already dumber.
So do you believe that if all people were equal, that you wouldn't have some that would wish to be VIP ahead of everyone else?
Oh, I'm sure.
Is that an instinct in human beings to be better?
Probably.
Okay. So when you get a new purse that has a branding on the outside, would you buy that purse if nobody could tell what brand it was? Would you still pay $1,000 for an unbranded purse when you know it was $1,000, but nobody else could see that you were carrying around $1,000 purse? So we like to be set aside from people and have people that are behind us, because it gives us our ego boost that we're better than other people.
Gives us a little something.
But in that utopia state, everybody being equal sounds good, but part of human nature, we are kept in check, and our incentives are sometimes very self-serving.
Yeah, but I mean, even look at things like charitable giving. Like, I feel good because I gave to this cause and it helped somebody. Pointless. No need. That feeling goes away completely.
Right.
We'd all be like self-centered, just narcissistic.
Primitive, absolutely.
Robots. That's what we would become.
Yeah.
We would just be a new species of robot. We don't have
bad
the ability.
robots, though. Ones that are trying really hard to be better than everybody else in the worst primitive ways possible, and having no real outlet for setting ourselves apart. You can't be, I mean,
we would just be numb. Think of everything. Having a baby. The process of giving birth, and it's robots doing it. There's no human connection in anything. Anything. There's no go to a restaurant and polite banter with a server. There's no conversation with someone in a waiting room. There's no, we would just be the most stoic. Why? Why would you have any other type of interaction with human beings? They're not serving you. There's no reason to talk to you.
So if you want to dismantle that,
we got 5 minutes.
If you want to dismantle that, there's one way. This is a mathematical way to just unseat this.
Okay.
Stop transactionalizing everything. Transactionalizing things makes it more efficient, makes it better, makes it run smoother, removes inconveniences, is in its perfect form. But if you transactionalizing, you take the human element, which human element is messy, it's inefficient, it's whatever. That messiness is what defines us as human beings. So you then, when you make a choice, you have to say, I'm going to suffer substandard so that I can include and involve another human being. So that's one part of the equation.
Without expecting to receive.
Okay. So it is you in your behaviors have to support the non-transactionalization of things. And 2, I have to then, as a society, deliver you good people to put in your non-transactionalized. So you're going to deal with individuals, and I have to deal with individuals who have a moral compass and are ethically good people. That's what's required. So if you transactionalize more and make more worse people, that is why mathematically that will happen. If you make people better and humanize it and do individual and put a priority on individual connections, you totally short circuit it and throttle it. Go. That's my Elon Musk moment. I know which one you're going to do, right? Yeah. You're going to buy it from Amazon rather than go down the store and buy it from someone who lives in your neighborhood, because it's more efficient. It costs you less money and it's more of a convenience, right?
Yep.
And when there are bad people in our society, we're going to embrace them and encourage them and make more bad people. So more bad people, more transactional ends up being the primitive state, doom scenario that I have outlined for you.
If only there was like a book.
Is there a book out there?
Like a guideline?
Is there like a day that historically has been set aside to explore that book?
Or if there's maybe like a person that we could maybe see as like a good example, or
okay,
you know, we could learn from.
That was really good at that.
Yeah, like if there was like an entity to show us how to do that stuff, and maybe
listen, I have to push back on that. I think human beings, like, we can find morality. We don't need some kind of rigid rule system. Humans will always come up with the idea to do the good thing, even if there were no rules.
We're just innate. We just know.
We know it. We know how we want to be treated, and we will wield that treatment on all people because we know. Deep down inside, we know. And just given the chance, we will show you how much we know. That was thick. Thick
sarcasm. Rollerball movie 1975 scared me way back then. We'll have to watch that.
I was born in 76, so that was a year before my time.
I was born in 84.
Holy shit, you were young. What the heck?
Thank you.
All right, what else is going on? We got about one more minute. I do want to thank all of you for joining us today. This was interesting conversation. You want to read that one real quick?
You already have no empathy. You support a pedophile and a rapist. In fact, there is no question at all that he is a rapist. He was unanimously found guilty by a jury of his peers that his own attorneys hand selected. That's just one of his crimes. He is freeing drug dealers and protecting pedophiles, yet he is your hero. Where's your empathy? You should check yourself.
Okay.
Have a great day.
Was that a good ending note? Let me respond to a couple of these things because
you better hurry. We don't have time.
We have time. We have like a minute and 10 seconds.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. Now, do not misunderstand that Trump is not my hero and he's not Kelin's hero. And there are very few people that would say this specimen here is Christ-like. I don't believe that at all. As far as being a rapist, I believe that Trump, as a young lad in New York with lots of power, influence, he did some sexual deviant behavior. Whether or not it was with underage people, I have no idea. I know there were some civil settlements and whatever, and which means that we will never know how much deviantness. I'm inventing words all over. Deviantry. How much deviantry went on during that period of life? But if I were to say, he probably was not a great dude at the time. What was the other one? That he freeing drug dealers and whatever. Yeah, we've established he is not a prime specimen for everything we would look to. We look at Jesus Christ as someone who did it right, and all other people are just fallible men. And so I'm not surprised when fallible men do fallible men things. And so there you go. Trump's not our hero.com. All right, we're out of here for today. Thanks everybody for listening. We'll catch you tomorrow.
Have a great day. Layla is a douche.
Thank you for listening to this show on Youngstown Studio. This is original Youngstown content. Feel free to share our videos and tell your friends about us. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on Facebook.